This is the Amateur Fanboy Podcast with your hosts, Chase Aguirre and Mike Hurtaza. Welcome. We are back, and today we are actually jumping off the basketball wagon because, news is kind of not there anymore.
Biggest free agent sign, it's over now. Now we just wait to see the little signings by other guys.
If Westbrook gets traded or not. But other than that, we are going to continue.
He's gonna get traded.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when.
And to who. Moving on to football. Football camp actually starts here in a few days for certain teams. Basically, any team who has a brand new head coach, they get a little bit of a head start to start training camp. And most of them start in the middle of I believe the 20th, between 20th and 27th of July. So, and then the first, preseason game starts here fairly soon with the Hall of Fame game. And then I'm excited, man.
I am too.
I'm just excited to see what happens. The Niners are going to have their team healthy. And I'm excited to see what that transpires with the defensive line and everything. And the Cowboys, they're always competing, it seems like, to potentially win the East. So we're actually not going to talk about the Cowboys
we're not talking about the Cowboys or the 49ers today.
But I do want to start. We're going to talk about the AFC East. No,
how about
West. AFC West.
Yeah. How about this? We end the last last day. We'll do both the NFC East and the NFC West.
Well, we have time.
No, I know. I'm just saying that we'll cover both those on the same day.
But yeah, what
AFC
we
West.
are going through is the West, and we'll start with news. Melvin Gordon from the Chargers basically said he's holding out from training camp unless they get him a new contract, and if they don't, he's going to request a trade. What trade market is out there basically for him? Let's say the Chargers are kind of cheap. They've always kind of screwed with contracts over and always had specific issues with some players.
I don't want to get off topic too much, but did they ever pay LaDainian Tomlinson?
Yeah, he had a big contract. Okay. I mean, not a big contract. I mean, back in the day, yeah.
Okay.
But it's a different era. Look.
I know.
End of the day,
I was just asking.
Would you? He's had about 12 touchdowns for 3 years straight. He's been a 1,000-yard rusher. He's been consistent. He does have some injuries, but he has no off the field injury issues. Other than that, would you pay him?
I would. 100%. There's only I would say about maybe 6 to 8 running backs in the league right now that I would give big money to, and he's one of them.
He's one of them. My only concern, I guess it would be this way. His injuries, if it kind of, you're probably going to miss, every year he's probably going to have 2 or 3 games that he potentially might miss. But he hasn't missed an entire season yet.
Didn't he kill it last year?
He did.
He had
12 touchdowns. He's had 12 touchdowns 3 seasons in a row.
But that's what I'm saying.
Then what are you paying him? Are you paying him basically what Gurley got? Gurley got about almost $14 million.
I mean, he's probably gonna have to reset the market, right?
Yeah, but are the Chargers gonna go out and pay?
See, I don't know that they will, but I mean that's what he's probably gonna be wanting.
And I'm sure, or at least similar. It's not really even that crazy because I think Gurley got 13 and a quarter or something like that a year. And Bell got 12, and that's, he was expecting to try to hit 15, 16, and there wasn't a market for him.
I think he'll get right in that 10, 12 range.
He should. No, I think he's got to hit 13. He's got to hit 13. That's
no, I'm saying that's what I think the Chargers.
Oh, Chargers for sure. On the Chargers, then I wouldn't go more than 11.
But if 12. He says 13 is or trade me, I'm sure they would bite the bullet because it's an extra what does it really do to the Chargers at the end of the day?
Yeah, but if we're really thinking about it, it's more of the guarantees kind of.
Yeah,
you're stuck with him for the problem with running backs is they're so cheap to begin with, and there's production on rookies that it's hard to give a player a second contract.
Now, remember we were talking about, I want to say probably a couple months ago, when the Dak contract and how it could be situated where they could have it. The Cowboys can have the ability to kind of cut bait.
With Dak.
Cut bait with Dak.
Sure.
Maybe the Chargers could look at and do something like that. Say, if sign a 3-year deal, and at any point
if they offer him Bell's contract, he's basically you can cut him after the second year of the contract.
But that's what I'm saying. They'll have something because I believe
it's the NFL. It's not the NBA. You can get rid of basically. These are written so well that after the first year, you were able to cut bait fairly
I understand,
easy.
and that's why I'm saying I think that they'd be more likely to do it, because at the end of the day, if say after next year he has a career debilitating injury for some reason, you can easily cut him.
Yeah.
And you can, lose little to nothing off of that. And
but
I think I'm gonna finish my point real quick. Is I think at the end of the day you gotta pay your studs. And with Phillip Rivers, not sure how much longer he's gonna be there. Melvin Gordon can be the perfect back to guide in that next quarterback that they have to bring in. So I think that they need to be looking at it that way. But, I'm not the Chargers. So.
I think they're looking to try to win it all within a year or two. That's their window.
So there you go. You sign them to at least a 2-year, 3-year deal and hope that you win. And if not, you can choose to do it from there.
Now, looking at a trade perspective, I'm trying to put a team that can actually has money to be able to trade from. I'm thinking. Let me put mine first. I have it in my mind. Is the Texans. They can give up, let's say, a second-round pick and maybe a third the following year. They can cut Lamar Miller, and they have a $6 million. If they cut him, they'll get back. They have the cap.
You're gonna hate my team, but go for it. Keep going.
I think that would be a great place for him to be. With Deshaun Watson, they basically need to win this year. But my only concern is they don't have a general manager, so they have a lot of people who would necessarily be in the front office, but they're not. Somebody would have to come out and try to get this push, but I'm not sure if that will happen. And I'll let you throw out yours.
Yeah, you're going to hate this so much. The Seattle Seahawks.
They just drafted a running back.
You add Melvin Gordon to that offense? That is something that they should definitely explore. I'm not saying that they would be a consideration. I'm not saying they would even consider it, but can you imagine Melvin Gordon?
What do you do, though, with Chris
Russell
Carson
Wilson?
and Rashad Penny?
I mean, I'm sure you can cut one of them. They haven't given much money to either of them yet, have they?
No.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you have a chance, you take that. It's more me spitballing and me just kind of looking and thinking about what that offense could be. But I mean,
I would think
man.
They should invest in if there's
you could keep Chris Carson and maybe as your backup, and you can maybe even keep both of them and have a three-headed monster.
But Melvin Gordon, you're not going to take off the field though.
But I think you could trade Chris Carson or Penny, or possibly
it would be Chris Carson because Chris Carson
and include him in the trade. And then you replace them, and then they get a cheaper option, and then you get Melvin Gordon, and you pay Melvin Gordon.
I just don't see them doing that.
I don't either. I'm just bringing out.
Okay. You're thinking of a good place for him to go.
A good place that would be a good fit.
I think he can fit anywhere. To be honest,
of course, but can you imagine?
Also, another team is the Bucks.
The Bucks are another.
They have Rojo and Barber, and neither of them are really good. They're both one's average, the other one.
I don't know what they have.
Rojo, I don't even know what he is.
I don't even know what they'd have to give up, and I hate. I might barf over here on the side.
The thing is, they don't even have the cap space to take that contract, to give him a contract.
The Eagles.
Yeah, but they just drafted Miles Sanders and they Howard.
I know.
But that would be an interesting place for him to go.
And I would hate it. I would hate it a lot.
I could throw out the Redskins because we don't know what you got in Darius Gouch and Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, that's true too.
But I think it'll be interesting to see what that, we'll continue to talk about it if something happens. Especially
has it come out that there's has he made a list of teams he'd be interested in?
No, but it's not really up to him.
no, of course not. But sure. I mean,
I don't think the Chargers have. They can let him hold out, and if he doesn't, if he plays, and next year they can franchise him, and then after that they can get rid of him. So they could let this play out, and if he holds out the season, then I doubt he will because. He has a contract. And he will get fined. It's not like he's on the franchise.
Yeah.
So moving on, we're going to continue with the AFC West. I guess we'll start with the Chargers.
Yeah, start with the Chargers.
This team, it could go either way. Either Rivers has a step back and completely, this team falls apart, or this team could be one of the best teams in the NFL. Based on the over-under, it looks like they're at 9.5. For over under,
that's a tough one.
That's a tough one because I'm gonna say they'll be over. I'm gonna say they're gonna be over.
I'm gonna take the under. I think they can. I think their top floor is 10, 11 wins, and that's if everything goes well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Health is huge with that team.
I would have them at probably anywhere from 7 to 9. So I think 9 being the reasonable floor. So I would probably take the under. Under.
I will say we don't with the Chiefs. To me, it's
they're tough.
It's a tough division, but
you got the Raiders who got better with Antonio Brown. You got the Chiefs who are still running that division. The Broncos defense is, as we discussed before we came on here, is still great. So
yeah,
that's tough.
But
tough
sticking
division.
with that, they have a great defense. They have Derwin James. They have Bosa. They just drafted. I can't even think of his name, but they continue to draft great. Their offensive line is if it stays healthy can turn heads, and they have great receivers in Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon. Hopefully, if he stays.
And see, that'll be a big thing too right now with the 9.5 wins. If Melvin Gordon's on the roster,
that probably goes down.
I would probably take them at 9 to 10.
I'm sure
but
Vegas would adjust.
Yeah, but if right, I mean that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like if I'm right now, I would probably bet that they probably trade him. So I would probably take the under.
I don't think they trade him.
I
would be more concerned with him coming in overweight. That would be my concern.
Maybe.
If he holds out and comes in the training camp late and he's overweight and he doesn't produce exactly the same, then that would be an issue. But at the end of the day, they're going to win or lose because of Phillip Rivers, not because of anything else.
Of course.
Moving to, and we'll go into more specifics with it, but we're going to go quickly through the Raiders. This is a very boom-bust team.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of personalities. Antonio Brown, I can't even say his name. Vontaze Burfict. They have Incognito. They have, a lot of personalities. And
I totally forgot he was on that roster.
Yeah, well, for now, we'll see if he makes the team.
True.
And he's the one that went to a funeral home and told them that he was going to kill him. So
yeah. What a great guy.
I couldn't imagine why they would bring him in. He's also 34. There's literally no upside.
No.
So, now, this team could be a top 5 offense, or this team could fall apart fairly quickly.
Yep.
They did draft Josh Jacobs, and we're not really the highest, on him. We thought he'd be more of a value in the second, third round.
I think he's a dark horse rookie of the year candidate, but I'm not very confident in saying that.
I just don't think he's going to be more than a very decent, maybe above average running back, because, to me, we really don't know. He's such a big question mark. I couldn't take him in the first. He was a backup. He doesn't have a lot of carries. He doesn't have a lot of mileage.
We're not talking about
college.
fantasy. We're talking about
no, but I'm talking about the team.
Okay.
So he's not very good at anything. But he's pretty average at everything. He can catch out of the backfield. He can basically do everything. He's basically Saquon, just on a worse pedestal. He's not as great at anything. So it's tough to see that. And end of the day, like Phillip Rivers, if Derek Carr doesn't produce, if he's slinging it down to the running back at every play and not getting down the field to Antonio Brown, this team will not win. And this defense isn't going to be very good. So it's all on Derek Carr. And I'm going to say their over-under.
Yeah, give me that over-under. I know exactly where I have them at, so give me that over-under.
6.5. I would probably. That's tough.
I'm gonna take the over. I think they can win 7-8 games.
I think I'll take the under. I think they're about 6 games. I think that's where they're at. I think they do a minimal improvement. I just Antonio Brown could be a difference maker. I just don't see that defense helping out. And again, it'll be on Derek Carr. And I'm not sure if I believe in him anymore.
I think 6.5 is easy money. I think that's one of the easier overs probably in that.
Yeah,
division.
I think it's plus 130.
I think that's one of the easier overs. Damn, I should have looked for that when I was in Vegas.
The over is one.
I think their absolute worst case scenario is 6-7 games.
Oh no, I think the worst scenario could be like 2 games.
Do not sleep on Derek Carr. Do not sleep on Derek Carr.
I mean, he hasn't.
Not. If he is at all anything of what he was before that injury, that offense is going to be explosive.
Also, I don't believe in John Gruden, but also there's a lot of things I would say that they're going to have a bad season.
We agree to disagree.
The quarterback, the defense, the head coach. There's just too many things where if they can't. Hey, I would be happy because I like Derek Carr. He's from Fresno State. I want him to see him succeed. There's nothing I would hate to see out in him because he's a good guy. Now I just don't see it. He's probably gonna have a great. If you tell him fantasy, he's probably gonna be undervalued and he's gonna produce because of Antonio Brown and he has Tyrell Williams. He has a lot of weapons around him. So the offensive line and the quarterbacks where basically is going to make or break this team. Moving to the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Now, this team...
This is probably one of the toughest teams coming off of what they came off last year to judge. Because there's two things going for the Chiefs. They still have Patrick Mahomes, and that's fantastic, and that's great.
Kind of.
But when has, in the last few years, a quarterback had that great of a year and done similar to better in the next year?
I mean, no one has ever seen a quarterback on his first year starting produce the way he did.
But that's what I'm saying.
The thing is, the second year starting is huge for a quarterback. Usually is where they have, it's not a sophomore slump because this is his third season. It's a sophomore slump as a starter because there's a year worth of footage of his game. And teams are now preparing the Raiders, the Chargers, the Broncos. These teams who are playing him twice a year are already prepared to play him. And having Tyreek Hill gone potentially, I don't know, between 4 games in a season.
That's my second thing. Tyreek Hill. If he's not on the field for a full 16 games, I think that takes them down just a little bit.
I would say, let me see what their over-under is. That is at 10. I would probably take the... That's I wouldn't do the bet.
Is there a fucking even? Because a 10 wins is probably exactly where I would have them at right now. Not knowing Tyreek Hill's future.
I think you could take even.
Because I can't... If Tyreek Hill's there, I'll take the over. If Tyreek Hill's missed 4 games, I'm probably taking the under.
There's a lot of things like their running game, Patrick Mahomes, their defense transitioning.
Because how many did they win last year? How many games?
I think they were... I'll get it right now.
Because Patrick Mahomes balled out.
They were 12-4.
That defense was garbage. If Patrick Mahomes hasn't had Tyreek Hill for 4 games, that defense doesn't get better. I can't see him winning more than 9 or 10 games.
Yeah, I'll take the under.
I would definitely take the under.
I'll take the under because you're gonna assume that he's gonna have a slump, some sort of slump. Teams are gonna be more prepared now. He does do some crazy throws, and he kind of has that Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson. He's able to escape and still pass down the field on an awkward throw. But Tyreek Hill took he would throw down the field on those crazy, escapes, and he would always go to Tyreek Hill, who was always open. Now, if he's gone 4 to a season, 4 games is probably you're probably okay, you're fine. But if he's gone more than that, then you might have struggles. They did draft a guy, I think Herman, in the draft, who's potentially the same kind of skill set as Tyreek Hill. He's a rookie though.
I don't know, man. 4 games with how that offense went around Tyreek Hill and how much he helped that offense. Yeah. I'd be scared that they could lose 3, if not all 4 of those games, depending on the team. Yeah. Like that could be huge. That literally could be. Sorry to.
Yeah, go for it.
That literally could be the difference between them being a 9-win team and a 12 to 13 win team. Like, that's crazy to me.
They play. Let me get you.
And if he misses the first 4 games, I'm curious who they play.
They play
that's preseason.
The Jaguars, the Raiders, the Ravens, and the Lions. They can win all those games.
That's 2 tough defenses, though, in the Ravens and the Jaguars.
Sure.
That's 2 tough. And the Jaguars is on the road.
I mean,
so and that's 3 road games. The Lions, don't sleep on the Lions either. And I already told you how I feel about the Raiders. So I could easily see them losing 2 or 3 of those games. I don't see them losing.
I'll say at worst they'll go 2-2.
I think they could lose 3 of those. I could easily see them losing to the Jags, the Ravens, and the Raiders.
They still have the best tight end in the league, and he basically is a receiver.
But you're going to double team him if Tyreek Hill isn't on the field. No?
And then I don't want to give because I don't believe in Sammy Watkins. He's always injured.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Sammy Watkins is your only hope.
You do have a rookie. I don't know. So it's not the worst case scenario, but. You would prefer Tyreek Hill there.
And Kareem Hunt isn't there either anymore.
I will say this. That defense can't be any worse than last year. They have Honey Badger now in the secondary.
That's right. No, I think their defense will get better. But I'm saying it needs to get better because if it doesn't and Tyreek Hill misses 4 games, they could be in some... I don't know, dude. I'd be nervous. They have
Frank Clark, right?
They traded for Frank Clark.
That defense should be improved.
It should be.
And that's why Patrick Mahomes' stats are going to go down next season. Because their defense, they're not going to be trying to stay or catch up, or the other team is trying, they're going to be able to do some stops, and that's going to cause them to run the ball more.
And that's another thing we need to remember, and it comes down to with the Tyreek Hill injury, Kareem Hunt was there for the first 10, 12 games of that year? Like, Kareem Hunt was in that offense a lot early on. They're not going to have that.
I will say they did find some success running the ball outside of Kareem Hunt, but it's not Kareem Hunt.
That's what I'm saying.
So we'll see how that goes.
Like I said, the 10 wins, I would probably take the under on that one.
Yeah, I'll take the under as well. They'll probably end up being around 9 or 10 wins. It's tough to come and repeat the same things.
It is.
Especially with the youth that they have.
Yeah. If they were at 8 or 9 wins, I'd probably take the over, but 10
it would be
makes
different
me
to me if they had a good defense.
That too.
Which they don't.
This
division has a lot of good offenses and some good defenses, two good defenses, and 2 trash defenses.
We could argue that the Chargers probably have the best defense in this division.
Yeah, they could. That and the Broncos, which we're going to go over right now.
They did last year.
The Broncos, at the end of this, we'll kind of go through and think our win totals here. But the Broncos, this team, I love what they did in the offseason with their head coach. I love Vic Fangio. I think he is one of the better defensive coordinators in the league.
Homer.
He's always had great defenses anywhere he's been outside the Texans.
Of course, the Texans.
Yeah, well, they can never produce, but it was also their beginning years. So with the Broncos, they were 6-10 last year. They did deal with some injuries. Sutton looks to be their number 1 receiver. They drafted a tight end in the first. Their defense is still, fairly, they should be good. I am a little concerned with their secondary. Harris is coming off of a torn Achilles, which I think he has a torn Achilles, right?
Chris Harris, yes.
Chris Harris. Yeah. And so does Sanders on offense. So
Manuel, yes.
I don't know what to come up because usually it takes about 2 seasons for a player to come back from an Achilles.
Which I'm still surprised they brought Sanders back. I thought for sure he'd be a trade candidate.
I thought they were going to cut him.
I would cut him, yes.
So it's tough. And then they went out and they basically traded Case Keenum to the Redskins and traded for Joe Flacco, which...
So they traded a decent quarterback for a worse quarterback.
They're basically statistically, they're the same.
I ain't looking at statistics. I'm looking at the fact that Joe Flacco is older. He has issues reading a defense at times. Case Keenum at least showed some promise. And I know Joe Flacco had the Super Bowl win, and that's all great. But Case Keenum more recently had success. So I don't know how I feel about that.
Joe Flacco also has had injuries the past season.
That's also one, too. Case Keenum, I don't think had too many injuries.
I will say, though, when he was on the field last season, John Brown had a great season outside until Lamar Jackson came in. And then he always has connection to tight ends. He's always been successful throwing to tight ends. And that'll continue this season, especially with this rookie. It's tough to say. It's probably between the Broncos, to me, or the Raiders to the top, bottom. And the Chiefs won out this season. Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders were the boss. It could flip-flop. I think the Broncos have a chance offensively because I don't see them having much success, even though they did bring in their new offensive coordinator, comes from the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay offense. So things should improve, but I just don't believe in Joe Flacco. So I'm going to say let me tell you their win totals for the Denver Broncos, which are at 7. That's an under. I'll take the under. That's easy.
Easy under.
Yeah. That's yeah.
I'd say 7 is they're peaking. Yeah, they're peak.
I don't see that happening though. They can be 2-4 games to me. They could be one of the worst teams in the league next year. Mm-hmm. But they'll compete because they have a good defense. So yeah, I'll take the under still. Where would you rank these teams? Let me give you the records for last year. The Chiefs were 12-4, and the Chargers were 12-4. The Broncos were 6-10. The Raiders were 4-12.
Flip the Raiders and the Broncos, and that's basically how I have it.
Well, who do you have leading the division?
Chiefs. I'll still take the Chiefs.
I'm gonna say because the Chiefs' defense. Look, to me, if I look roster to roster, I think the Chargers have the better roster. Now, the Chiefs have the better quarterback, but that defense is, it was one of the worst defense last year, and they have Spagnuolo as their defensive coordinator. He hasn't been in the league for a couple seasons. They're transitioning to a 4-3, and they were at 3-4. They basically got rid of every, defensive line player that they had, except for Chris Jones.
Yeah.
So, to me, I think the Chargers are about 11 wins. I think the Chiefs end up with 9 or 10 wins. The Broncos and the Raiders, I think because the Raiders have Antonio Brown, I'll give them the edge. I'll give them the third worst team, and I'll say 6 games. And the Broncos, I'll give them like 4 or 5 wins. I think that's where they're at.
I'll put the Chiefs at probably 10-6. I think the Chargers could be around 10, 11 wins, but you got to wait to see how the Melvin Gordon situation plays out, and their defense could take a step back. I know it isn't usual for a team to defense like that was that good last year to take a step back, but they overperformed a little bit. So I would still be at 9 to 10 wins for them. So I would probably see them being both at around 10 wins. So we can see how that plays out.
Like last year.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Were the same record.
12 wins. Yep. And then I'm going to put the Raiders right at about 6, 7 wins, depending on how things go with that offense. Because I think that defense won't be great, but I think it will get better. It has to get better. It can't get worse than it was last year. And then the Broncos, I think the only thing that's going to keep them at 5 to 6 wins is their defense. And if it isn't for their defense, they could possibly win 2 to 3 games.
So, let me go through the scenario. How do the Raiders make the playoffs?
If Derek Carr comes back from that injury and balls out, they could make the playoffs.
Now, how
regardless of that defense, if that offense is great,
for them
they could win.
For them to make the playoffs, would all 3 teams, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders, be basically the Chiefs win or the Chargers? Both two wild cards coming out of the West.
I think they would have to be that second team coming out of the West.
You think the Raiders would have to be the second team?
They would have to be.
So they would have to. That's tough, man. I would hate to be in that division. It's a tough division.
Honestly, we could end up seeing the division winner and both wild cards coming out of that division.
That's what I'm saying.
It could happen.
But I just don't believe that the Raiders are there yet. I think that defense still needs to be built out. There's too many young players. The defensive line is going to struggle. So I'm just going to say they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But I just don't see the Broncos making the playoffs at all. Unless Joe Flacco turns it, I don't know. He's never played out. And even the year that they won the Super Bowl, he was on the back of the defense. And he played great in the playoffs, but it kind of reminds you of Eli Manning.
Yep.
So with that, fantasy-wise, going through these divisions, we'll start with the Raiders, of course. Antonio Brown, he's probably not the top receiver anymore, but he's probably a top 5 receiver drafted, if not top.
He'll be drafted. He'll probably be drafted in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, probably. I would probably say. I'd probably say the second or third. He'll probably be drafted.
I still can see someone in our league, in my league particularly, taking him in the first round, but I think second, third round is probably more likely.
Josh Jacobs is probably one of the top rookie players in this draft. Other than David, I would probably take David Montgomery over him, and that's probably it. But I'm not extremely high on any other running back outside of Miles Sanders.
Josh Jacobs for me would be a good flex. For me, that's where I would put him. I don't know that I'd have him as one of my top 2 running backs, but a flex option, if I could get him off the bench in the late rounds, that he'd be a good guy to put in when a couple running backs are on bye.
Yeah, I would say Josh Jacobs a flex to I'd tell you about a flex. He's a flex option. Yeah. You don't want him as your number 2.
Yep.
And anyone else from this team? Tyrell Williams.
Tyrell Williams.
I would say I would not draft him. He's undraftable.
I don't know. I would have to wait and see how things go. I mean, obviously, someone in deeper leagues will probably take him. Based off how he did with the Chargers. But I would have to wait and see how he does in that offense first.
Hunter Renfrow, who was drafted, I think he'll play at the slot position. It's somebody, I'm not saying to draft, but somebody to watch out during the season, especially in a half point or a full point PPR. I think Hunter Renfrow can show up, and especially a lot of attention's gonna go towards Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams. He has an opportunity to over the middle to make some plays.
He'll be someone I'll watch in my dad's league this year.
Yeah, and it's funny how the Raiders are now basically Clemson with all the Clemson players that they drafted. Clemson, Alabama.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The Broncos. I don't know if
There's only one guy I would touch. I'm sure you can.
Philip Lindsay?
Nope.
You wouldn't touch Philip Lindsay?
I mean, I would, but he's not who I'm thinking of. Emmanuel Sanders.
No, I wouldn't touch him.
Emmanuel Sanders I don't know what it is. Every year the dude just produces.
The reason I don't touch him, he's coming off of a torn Achilles.
I still trust in Emmanuel Sanders.
He's undraftable.
I'm not gonna take him early.
A late round.
But I'm probably gonna take him in I could take him in the mid rounds.
I think Cortland Sutton, Philip Lindsay, and Royce Freeman are all draftable. They're all draftable.
Oh, Cortland Sutton too, yeah.
Cortland Sutton, he's gonna be the number 1 receiver. That deep ball from Joe Flacco's still there, so he'll produce. We'll see what happens with that. Fans, I just don't like rookie tight ends.
I usually get scared of drafting tight ends, period, unless I have to have a tight end.
Yeah.
If we're really being 100% honest.
Chase runs in a league that they don't necessarily need a tight end.
The only league that I'm in 2 leagues. One league, we don't necessarily have to have a tight end. We could literally have 3 running backs and 3 receivers if you want.
It's basically a flex between a receiver and a tight end.
And in my other league, Rookies League, we have to have a tight end, which I hate because I hate taking tight ends early.
Most leagues, you have to draft tight end. I'd say 99%.
Because I could, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't even name more than 3-4 tight ends.
Oh, I can tell you. Look, we'll go through it. But other than that, their defense is draftable at the back end of the draft. Other than that, there's nobody else I would draft. Joe Flacco, I wouldn't touch.
I wouldn't even touch him with a 10-foot
Not even a backup. So moving to the Chargers, Philip Rivers is an interesting place because he always, to me, gets underdrafted. His value is so low always. I think I've seen him go between 10th and 11th round. I think that's a good value for him. Now his upside's not as big as these other guys, but he's going to produce week in, week out.
Mike Williams is going to be one to watch for the Chargers.
Yeah,
he could have a really big year.
He can, but the same issue I had him last year is he's so off and on where if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's basically not producing any points for you. He gets 1 or 2 catches a game, and mostly it's in the red zone. Now let's see what happens with Tyrell Williams gone. He probably has a huge opportunity as the number 2 receiver to actually start producing. He has to. This is the year for him to produce.
Yep.
Outside, he did have a lot of touchdowns last season. Gordon, Gordon's a first-round back. Hopefully he's in camp as soon as possible. Keenan Allen, still going to go in the first 2 rounds. Defense is draftable.
So the one thing that scares me with Keenan Allen is his injury history.
Sure. Every year he always has that potential. And he also kind of sometimes disappears for a game or 2. But he ends up producing every other game, it feels like.
Yeah.
And also, someone who we're forgetting is their tight end, Hunter. I forgot his name. Hunter Henry, who tore his ACL during camp last season. And he, if it wasn't for that team, that's the crazy part is they have untapped potential. This team is full of talented players. So this guy is gonna produce. So he's somebody that he's probably a top 10, top 5 tight end if it wasn't for his injury. So with that, we'll move to the Chiefs.
Patrick Mahomes.
Of course, Patrick Mahomes is the number 1 quarterback.
I think that's literally the only guy I'm for sure taking. I don't know about.
Sammy Watkins.
Sorry,
Ertz.
Sorry,
not Ertz.
Kelsey,
and then Damian.
I mean, Hill's draftable, but if he missed the first 4 games, I don't know that I would take him until like the 5th, 6th round.
Yeah, he'll drop some, but he's dropped. I mean, all their players.
Honestly, I want someone to take him in the first 3 rounds, even with 4-game suspension.
And who knows? He might not even get suspended.
I would be shocked if he didn't.
Tyreek Hill, he'll go in between. If he gets suspended 4 games, he'll go in the third to 5th round. Kelsey he's the number 1 tight end. You could pretty much throw Kittle or him 1 or 2, but yeah, he's gonna go probably in the 3rd or 4th round, or somebody overdrafts. I never draft tight ends that early. And then Patrick Mahomes, it'll probably go in the back of the 1st to 2nd round. I just think that's a little bit too much value. Now, if you look at it this way, and not that he's gonna get that much of a jump like last season. He had 95 points to the second quarterback next to him.
Yeah.
So that's a lot,
Even if he takes a step back, that's still
a step back, he's still going to potentially be easily the first number 1 quarterback, hopefully, this coming season. So it'll be fun, and the Chiefs' defense is undraftable. Damian Williams, their running back.
I don't know if I would take any Chiefs running back.
They did give him an extension, so I'm gonna assume that he does start. He's a flex.
To me, I don't care who starts in that backfield. I don't know that I'm touching him.
The good thing is though, they're gonna score touchdowns. That's gonna matter.
I'll put it to you this way. I would take Josh Jacobs before I take any running back in the Kansas City
The thing is, I can see the Chiefs running back, whoever the starters, or at least the goal line back, produce a lot of points because of touchdowns. That's the thing. Having Mahomes and having an opportunity to score is big, and we don't know that with the Raiders. Who out of all these players, who you looking to target? Any of these players?
Off what?
Off all these teams.
Off all these teams? Probably Antonio Brown. Probably the one I'm trying to get the most. I think he's going to have a huge year in that offense. I think that the Raiders have a chance to have one of the top 5, top 6 offense. And I really want a piece of that Antonio Brown stock. So I would say Antonio Brown, and then right behind him, another receiver I probably would take is, you know what? Emmanuel Sanders. I don't know what it is. There's a guy in our rookies league, a guy in our dad's league that drafts him almost every year, and every year I'm like, why the fuck are you taking Emmanuel Sanders? Who the hell is this guy? He ain't gonna do shit, and he always does shit.
Sure.
He's one of those guys that you just always can expect to put up close to 1,000 yards, 5 to 10 touchdowns, and put up decent fantasy games. And that's consistency. And that's all you want in fantasy is consistency.
I just don't see it happening this year, especially with Achilles injury.
We said that last year, and I know he wasn't coming off Achilles injury, but we say that every year.
Yeah, but this Achilles...
Like last year, he was one of the best receivers on the Broncos last year.
The thing is, the Achilles completely takes away all your burst.
Emmanuel Sanders is a different cat.
It's going to take him 2 seasons to be able to even get back to where he was, and by then he's already going to be older.
I'm not taking Emmanuel Sanders early, but if we have a 12-round, 13-round, 14-round draft, and he's there in the 6th, 7th, 8th round, I'm probably going to take him.
I wouldn't touch him till the 12th or 13th. To me, I just know how this happens. Achilles completely take away your burst, and he's a great route runner, and I don't know, when he kind of does a slant or something, I don't know how he's going to perform. So, with that, you want to go through and talk any football stuff that's going on right now?
Well, I saw something today that said I think it was NFL Network that reported that said Dak's not going to take a hometown deal, and I don't expect him to take a hometown deal. I would be not insulted, but I'd be like a little upset if he actually did take a hometown deal. But he's not going to get they're not going to break the bank for him. That's what's not going to happen. People think, he's going to get 30 plus million. Like, he's probably going to get 31, 32 million, maybe 33, but he's not going to get 35, 36 million like everyone's expect. Like, I don't care what the market is for the quarterbacks. The Cowboys are going to find a way to be under that threshold, whether it's guaranteeing more money, whether it's giving him some more incentives. I don't know, but the Cowboys will find a way to pay him a little under what the best quarterback is right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the last quarterback...
It doesn't make financial sense for them.
If you look at the last quarterback that just got extended, Carson Wentz didn't reset the quarterback market.
No, exactly.
Now, he did have a high amount of guarantee money. That would, to me, is more important.
And what's absolutely crazy to me is that the Eagles already did that, and I don't even know if Carson Wentz is going to be the same quarterback. I really don't. I'm not even hating on the Eagles. I just, you want to talk... We were just talking about Emmanuel Sanders and his burst with the... He tore his fucking leg. Dude, I just don't know that he's going to be the same. I just don't know that he's going to have the same mobility. Sure. And if he doesn't have the same mobility, that takes away a lot.
It's more of how he takes a hit. He broke his back.
And that too. And
he tore his ACL 2 seasons ago.
But,
so,
I mean, it's still... I don't know, dude. If
it
wasn't for Nick Foles last year, the Eagles wouldn't even meet the playoffs. So
now, sticking with Dak, and I'll move to Carson Wentz. Dak needs... To me, he's going to take a contract similar to what Carson Wentz got. I think that's what he's worth. I think that's where he's at. He's not worth more than He's not worth $35 million a year.
I don't care whether he gets more than Carson Wentz or doesn't. I just know he's a better quarterback than Carson Wentz, and that's all that fucking matters.
So then he should get more money than Carson Wentz?
I don't care whether he does or he doesn't. I just know Dak's a better quarterback. He's healthier, he's more mobile, and he's more accurate, and he has more playoff wins. So there you go. That's all you need.
So look, it doesn't matter outside of this. Contracts. You don't have to be the best quarterback to get a bigger contract.
I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. The Cowboys were able to get a quarterback or the deal done around what Carson Wentz got or less. They're getting a freaking steal.
I'm gonna assume that Dak's gonna wait it out and wait till next season.
He should. I 100% believe he should bet on himself and ball out this year. Take that team to a possible Super Bowl and cash out. That's what I think he should do.
Look, right now he's probably sitting on...
The only way he doesn't... Sorry to interrupt you. The only way he doesn't get paid is if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs. If the Cowboys win a game or two in the playoffs or make the playoffs, he's getting paid.
But I'm looking at it now. Right now he's probably getting about 32, 33 million.
If the Cowboys don't make the playoffs this year, the Cowboys could...
they're just going to franchise him.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And at that point, he doesn't get paid.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
He'll get paid because he's going to get $20 million a year.
But what I'm saying is he's not going to get a long-term deal unless the Cowboys miss the playoffs.
But at the end of the day, though, right now he's worth $30 million. Now, if he bets on himself, he's probably looking at $38 million.
Hey, I'm fine with whatever. If the Cowboys don't win a Super Bowl, you can give that man all the money you want.
I'm curious to know
I don't even care.
Who gets re-signed first out of that group. Cooper, Zeke, or Dak, or even Byron Jones and some other players.
I think in this order it should be Amari Cooper. You got to get him done. You got to get your receiver done because the receiver is what makes the offense go. And that we saw that last year with how big of an impact he had. Then right behind him, I'm going to have to say Zeke because Zeke is the reason that offense is good. When Dak and Zeke are on the field together is when they're great. When Dak doesn't have Zeke, as we saw in the 6-game suspension, he's not as great. I love Dak. So then after that, it would be Dak for me.
I would say, order. I think Cooper, they wait till next year just because they want to see how he produces this season. Mm-hmm. Two things. That's another thing. Like, Cooper is very... If you look at the Raider days, he's very off and on. One day he'll be gone, and the next day he'll throw out and he'll have 216 yards.
Please stop comparing Amari Cooper as a Raider to Amari Cooper as a Cowboy.
No.
Please.
But he's
so much more motivated now. He never wanted to be a Raider. He wants to be a Cowboy.
Look, I'm not saying
that matters.
I want to see him perform a whole season with this team.
I saw him do it for half a season. For me, that's plenty. If he goes and performs like he did half of what he did in the first 8 games last year for halfway during that season, they're going to pay him before the season ends. And you can bank on that.
I'm not saying... Look,
100%.
The Cowboys don't need to pay him right here is what I'm saying. They let him perform and earn it and a whole season and then give him the contract.
If the Cowboys are like 6-2 and he's balling out and he's leading the league in receiving,
then yeah,
they're going to pay him.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what I think. I'm not saying that what will happen, but I would not be surprised if that happens because he is a beast.
It's tough for me because Zeke is probably one of the best running backs in the league. And
sorry, keep going.
And I don't necessarily believe in paying running backs, but Zeke is something else. He is the Cowboys' offense. Without Zeke, there's no... Dak is nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's why he's ahead of Dak, and Amari obviously helps Dak a lot. That's why they're ahead of Dak for me. And I love Dak. I still think he's a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. But the fact is, Zeke and Amari help him be what he needs to be and what's going to take this team to a Super Bowl.
But
you got to get them paid.
Back to that. Yeah, to me, Zeke's a better running back than Dak is a quarterback. I think Amari Cooper is a better running back, receiver than Dak is a quarterback.
Yes.
So, end of the day, though, they're going to have to pick and choose.
And what's that tell you about Carson Wentz?
And they're probably going to lose. Well, no, look.
I'm sorry. Carson Wentz is not good.
Carson Wentz, to me,
I'm sorry.
And I see it outside perspective, and I'm still from an NFC team.
I see it from when he was healthy. I definitely thought he was a great quarterback. I'm telling you right now, he is not going to be the same.
Well, this is a big. Look, the Eagles should have not re-signed him. They should have waited. But
Eagles going to Eagle.
I think, to my perspective, I think he can be MVP. He could either be MVP or he can be average, not looking very good because of those injuries. But he's somebody I would bet on. I do believe it. My more concern is him just getting injured and performing high level with consistent injuries is where I would be concerned. I think he can do it.
Eagles fans want the Cowboys to pay Dak so bad, they're really going to regret it if Dak ends up being the quarterback of this team long term. He's going to be the death of the Eagles, and I can't wait. I'm 100%. I can't wait. I'm ready. I want the season to start.
Well, this is a big season for both teams.
I would say it's a bigger season for the Eagles because you don't have Nick Foles anymore.
Well, look, I will say though, but Nick Foles to me is not
Mike. I got a couple things to lay on you. Carson Wentz wasn't the reason they won a Super Bowl. Carson Wentz won a bunch of games in the regular season, and then got hurt.
Do you remember?
There you go, right there.
If he didn't get injured, he would have been MVP that season.
I mean, he would have been MVP this season, but how do we know what he would have done in the playoffs?
We don't, but the reason they're even in the playoffs because of him.
And that's great, but Nick Foles is the reason he won the Super Bowl.
Sure.
And that not having that backup option now with where he's at, I'm not talking about before the injury. I'm talking about right now. Right now, I don't trust that he's going to be the same Carson Wentz. I just don't. And I'm not even hating on the dude. I had him as the best quarterback in that draft when he got drafted. Even after the Eagles took him, I was like, dude, he's going to be the best quarterback. The Eagles just got a great guy, and the Cowboys are probably going to be screwed if they can't find a guy after Romo.
Where would you...
And here we are
I know
now.
You're going to probably pick Dak, but if you had to redraft that quarterback on the top, Jared Goff, Wentz, and Dak, where do they go?
Are we considering everything right now?
Everything
right now.
Redraft.
Dak, Goff, Wentz. Wentz, I'm telling you, after the injury, is not going to be the same quarterback. If you take everything away, it's Wentz, Goff, and Dak. But with the injury in there,
to me,
I don't know that he's even ahead of Goff.
I'm taking Wentz first.
Of course,
and then I'll take Dak and then Goff. And it's not. I don't think it's that far off between Dak and Wentz.
And I'm not just saying this right now because my dad might be listening to this podcast, but do not sleep on Jared Goff. The dude is going to ball out next year.
My thing is, for whatever reason,
I see him and Dak both having better years than Carson Wentz.
Oh, I don't. I think,
and I would put a lot of money on that.
I think the Eagles need to win now, and they have the offense to do so, and they have a ton of weapons.
That's the thing. The Eagles are probably considered the favorites by a lot of people. They have the most pressure. The Cowboys are sitting there chilling, saying, "No, you're still underrating Dak. You're still underestimating this defense."
I think there's a lot. If Dak doesn't get a contract, there's a lot of pressure on him because he has to win and perform to be able to get the contract he's wanting.
Have you not seen how he performs in the clutch?
Sure, but at that time he's not necessarily looking to. This is Dak's biggest season of his career, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm pretty confident that he's gonna be able to ball out. I'm pretty confident.
Hey, look, and going back to Goff, I'm not hating on him. I think he's a good quarterback, but I just see Wentz. Like, Goff, to me, will never be an MVP caliber quarterback.
I think he can.
I just don't see it. He has to go to a specific offense that can make him, that showcases him. And look, without Gurley in the offense, he did not perform well. That offense requires a running game and him to be,
I literally watched the Cowboys and the Rams playoff game where Gurley was, for the most part, not a factor, and they killed us. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Look, I just don't believe. I don't believe Goff is a top 5 quarterback. Is what I'm saying. I think Wentz can be a top 5 quarterback.
I don't think Wentz will ever be a top 5 quarterback ever.
I think this year can be a top 5 quarterback. This is outside. This is
going to be fun to revisit in February. This is going to be really fun.
Well, it can be fun for me because it's going to happen. As long as he stays injury free.
You are awfully confident for a dude that literally did not play at all much last year and that has not been the same when he has been on the field since that injury. I don't know how anyone could put Wentz ahead of Dak or Goff right now. I don't know how, other than potential and what he was before the injury. But if we're talking about injuries, we already talked about it with Emmanuel Sanders. We already talked about it with, who else did we talk about with the Achilles injury? The other running back, I think it was, I can't think of his name right now. But you talk about burst. I'm just saying that Wentz did a lot of his shit on the run. In a pocket, sure. I don't trust that he's going to be able to do the same. He
also tore his ACL 2 seasons ago.
He still tore his ACL.
ACLs aren't that big of an... Achilles is a way bigger injury than ACL.
If you tear anything, you're not going to be completely 100% the same.
ACL actually, when you tear your ACL, that knee actually ends up being stronger than the other leg. And that's why when you tear your ACL on this leg, you end up tearing your ACL on this leg because this leg ends up being stronger than the other leg.
I guess we'll see, man.
And that's proof.
All right.
Because if you look at Sam Bradford, he did that to both his legs.
I'm not saying the Eagles are going to suck this year. I'm not saying that the Cowboys for sure are going to win that division going away. But I, not just being a Cowboys fan, would put my money on the Cowboys next year before I put my money on Carson Wentz and the Eagles.
Look, I'm saying it as an outside perspective that has no fight in this game. I can care less.
You really think if Carson Wentz was fully healthy that I would be saying otherwise?
If Carson Wentz, which is fully healthy now.
I don't believe he is.
I think he is.
Everyone thought that last year. And the dude...
But he wasn't.
And the dude...
He didn't play the first 2 games.
There you go. Let's wait and see how he is in the preseason and how he looks before we start saying he's healthy.
He went into the season... Going into the, not even playing. He didn't practice. He's going to have a whole training camp. To me, he has to perform big because they give him a big contract. He has to win.
All right. He has to. We'll see if he does.
And he will, to me. So
I don't believe he will, but that's my opinion.
It would be different if it was, I don't know. It's tough to me. If he's going to have injuries, it's not going to be because of the same injuries he's had.
It's not even just the ACL. It's the back, too.
Sure.
We all saw how Tony Romo was his back. He was never the same. How are you going to say Carson Wentz is different?
I'm just saying he's going to perform as an MVP. He can still get injured, but he's still going to perform. Tony Romo still performed. He just didn't.
But Tony Romo's Tony Romo. Carson Wentz ain't Tony Romo.
It doesn't matter. Who cares?
I'm just saying.
I'm saying Tony Romo still got injured with the same injury with his back and his collarbone, but he still performed and was able
Tony
to
Romo
do
let
his
it drive
job.
against your 49ers with a punctured lung. Carson Wentz ain't doing that. Sorry.
It doesn't matter.
I'm just saying Carson Wentz is a bitch.
So you're gonna trust me.
He's not tough. He's
he broke
fragile.
his back.
He's fragile.
Those are all different injuries, though. It's the same.
That's a bad thing. The more injuries, the worse. You're not going to win this, Mike. I do not think Carson Wentz is going to have a great year.
There's a winnable chance. If he has a good year, then I win it, and if he doesn't, then you win it. It's as easy as that.
All right.
If he stays healthy, look. If he stays healthy,
that's a big if, but yes.
But are you agreeing with me? If he stays healthy,
yes, 100%.
Then he'll be.
I just do not think that is. I just don't see it happening.
And this is why I hope people are thinking like you, because I think he's going to be a great value.
I already know people aren't, because I've seen Philly blogs, I've seen NFL sites.
Philly.
I just literally, after I said Philly, I said NFL. I've seen NFL Network. I've seen literally every analyst that I can name off the top of my head predict the Eagles as the favorites going into the next year in the division. And the Cowboys won that shit last year. That's disrespect to Dak.
I look at fantasy. His ADP is way lower than it should be, and that's why I'm going to value taking him.
Carson Wentz in fantasy will be great. He'll put up numbers, but it's not really going to matter when he's probably not going to do enough. He'll put up 300 yards and a couple touchdowns, but that's not going to win you games.
300 yards and a couple touchdowns should be enough to win you a game.
Not when the other team's probably putting up more numbers on that defense.
If he's playing 300 yards and a couple touchdowns in, I don't think the Cowboys can hold up to that. They're a running team.
They did twice last year.
To me, this team has to win. But moving on, before we end the podcast here, the Cardinals are starting their training camp here in a couple days. What do we expect from Kyler Murray? He should be basically, because I think they have who's their backup? Is it Mike Glennon?
Not sure.
Not really
concerned. But
what we're talking about, it doesn't matter. We're talking about the Cardinals right now.
Yes.
Kyler Murray has to basically, to me, he's week 1 starter.
Yep.
And he has no other choice. They do have some weapons. My big concern with that team, and we'll talk about it when we go over the West, the NFC West, is the offensive line. That scares me for him. And now, can he? Luckily, he has the legs to be able to move and get out of the pocket and start running. But I'm curious to know what his playing weight will be and how he'll perform behind that defense. And that's why if he's running the ball a lot, he probably will end up being Rookie of the Year, because he's probably going to have 500 yards rushing and 6-7 touchdowns rushing as well, on top of 2,500, 3,000 yards and 15, 20 touchdowns.
I think the Cardinals are going to surprise a lot of people this year.
I think they'll still be at the bottom of the pack just because of the defense. I mean, that offensive line. I don't see David Johnson. He didn't perform last year as well because the offensive line was trash, and they have not improved it. And they were the worst offensive line in the league. Oh, back on Dak Prescott. I forgot about this. Did you know he had the second most sacks last season? Did you know that?
Yeah, because we didn't have our fucking center all year long. But Travis Frederick that's another thing about the Cowboys that's going to be better than the Eagles. Our offensive line is fully healthy. We had a makeshift offensive line half the year,
but
and it was still
does losing your center though cause you to have the second most sacks in the whole NFL?
Bro, are you fucking serious right now?
What?
Have you not looked into how great Travis Frederick is? The center is the biggest part of the fucking offensive line. What are you even talking about?
But
Yes, it matters.
I want to know. I'm going to do some research and see where those sacks came from. If it was on outside, through the middle. I'll do some research for our next pod. But I just saw that and I was surprised. I didn't realize that.
You should go look at what it was the last 2 years when Frederick was fully healthy, and I'm sure you'll be awfully surprised.
But outside of Frederick, who else did you get injured? Because look, at NFL, you're only as good as your backup.
I think Tyron Smith was out a couple games last year too.
So
Frederick's not the only reason, but that offensive line had a lot of we were shifting a lot of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Fleming played a lot of games.
It seems
I remember Looney played a lot of games at center. I remember Collins played a lot of games. I think they even had to sign what's his face? The guy we got out of Texas had to play some games. That offensive line is going to be so deep and so much better this year and fully healthy. It should be
I would
scary.
assume though Tyron Smith probably based off his injury history, he'll probably miss a couple games.
Tyron Smith missed the games he missed because of a disease.
And Tyron Smith?
Tyron Smith?
That's
Sorry, yes.
said.
Okay. I thought you were talking about
I'm saying
Frederick.
the past few seasons, though, he's missed games, a couple games each season.
But for me, Tyron Smith can miss a couple games. Frederick cannot. Zach Martin cannot.
Well, I would say Tyron Smith because he's the left tackle, or it seems like
we have this year. Maybe not last year we didn't, but this year we have plenty of replacement depth for Tyron Smith to miss a couple games.
With that, we'll end the pod, and we'll hope to talk to you, and we'll hear us hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll come in. I'll come by after work tomorrow. We'll do a pod tomorrow.
Maybe we'll do an NFC team. We'll figure it out.
We'll do the NFC West tomorrow.
Oh goodness.
So, Dad, if you're still listening, definitely tune in tomorrow. We're talking Rams.
Ooh.